iPhone 13 Pro has been out for over 6 months and I have had it since the launch day. During those 6 months, I have used the regular iPhone 13 as my main phone for 2 months and this 13 Pro for the remaining 4 months. Hey guys, it's Sagar and I think this is the right time to tell you guys about my experience of using this iPhone 13 Pro for extended time. Spoiler alert, I think this is the best iPhone that Apple has made yet. But wait, don't close the video yet because I still won't recommend you guys to go and get it. I'll explain why a bit later. Since this phone has been out for a while, I'm not going to talk about its specifications or things like that. This video is going to be more about its pros and cons or the things which I liked or disliked about it after using it for all these months. So let's begin. First of all, starting at Rs 1,19,900, it is definitely not cheap. And this is the first thing that I dislike about this phone. In the US, there is just a $200 difference between the 13 and 13 Pro, which roughly translates to about 15,000 rupees. But here in India, iPhone 13 is priced 45,000 rupees lower than the iPhone 13 Pro, so the price premium for the Pro iPhones actually makes no sense, at least in India. Last year I went with the 12 Pro Max since it had excellent battery life and better cameras than the 12 Pro. But after using it for 6 to 7 months, I ended up selling it since its size and weight was just too much for me. I actually like the plus size iPhones. I have owned the iPhone 6 Plus, 6s Plus, 7 Plus, 8 Plus, 10s Max, 11 Pro Max and even the 12 Pro Max. So I think more than the size, I am bothered by how heavy these plus size iPhones have got over the years. This time, both the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max have the exact same internals, cameras and features, other than the bigger display and the battery of course. Apple also promised improved battery life on the much more manageable iPhone 13 Pro, so I decided to go for it this time. Having the same design as last year's iPhones does make it a bit boring for some people, but I for one really like the flat edges of this iPhone 13 Pro. I think this design is here to stay for a while, because when Apple finds a good design, they like to stick with it for 2 to 3 years at least, if not longer. The size of this iPhone 13 Pro is perfect for my average size hands. Right from the moment you pick it up, you know that this is a very well built phone. The stainless steel frame and glass back make it feel a lot premium in your hands, but these choice of materials also make it a lot heavier for the phone of this size. You can consider this to be a good or bad thing. Bad thing is, it feels too heavy after using it with one hand for a while, which you can do by the way. You don't expect a device of this size to be almost as heavy as previous Max iPhones. The good thing is, all this weight is evenly distributed throughout the body and this gives it a very solid in-hand feel. It feels like a premium densely packed solid device. This works well to keep it stable while you are trying to use the camera and things like that. So depending on how you feel about it, you can consider this to be a pro or con. Personally, I think it's a downside and I would have liked this phone to be a bit lighter. I like to put a case and a screen protector on my phone, and no matter how thin or light case I go with, it is still going to add a few grams to this already heavy iPhone. Coming to durability and how its body has held up over the past 6 months. I have been using it with a case this whole time, so my phone is in perfectly pristine scratchless condition other than around the lightning port. Now I haven't used it too roughly or anything like that, but I still see a few macro scratches on the shiny stainless steel frame around the charging port. I use all my phones the same way. I have never had this happen on any of my previous generation iPhones, so maybe the stainless steel frame gets scratched a bit easier this time around. I have also seen scratches on the display of someone else's 1 week old iPhone, and that guy was very confident that he did not place it facing down on any surface or even in the same pocket as his keys. So the ceramic shield display might be tough and resilient against drops, but not so much against scratches. So it is always a good idea to use a good quality tempered glass screen protector and a case with your shine in your iPhone. That gives me a perfect segue to talk about today's sponsor. Kurabe offers an amazing collection of cases for your iPhone, and these ones are from their Shed series. They are made from soft flexible polymer material and they get a very nice granular finish which adds a lot of grip. These Shed series cases are thin and light, so they don't add too much bulk or weight to your iPhone. They are drop tested from the height of 2 meters or 6.6 feet, so if you are using one of these cases, you don't have to worry even if your phone falls down. These cases have the MagSafe magnets built in, so they are compatible with the MagSafe wireless charger and other MagSafe accessories. There is a good lip at the front and back, so the screen and camera lenses always stay protected. Buttons on these cases are soft and easy to press, and the cutouts align perfectly with the ports on the phone. All the Kurabe cases have minimal branding at the back, which is always appreciated. If you like minimal cases which provide a very good protection to your phone, definitely give these cases a try. To check out these and more cases from Kurabe, make sure to check out their website from the link in the description section. This 6.1-inch display is the exact same sized one as we saw on the iPhone 13, and if you saw my long-term review of the iPhone 13, you might know that other than not having ProMotion, I really loved that display for its overall quality and size. This iPhone 13 Pro gets ProMotion display, and it also gets higher typical peak brightness, so it is even easier to view under any lighting conditions. The notch is again smaller on this iPhone 13 Pro as well, and it absolutely makes no difference to your overall usability. Even though there is more space next to it, Apple doesn't even allow us to display the battery percent next to it. So this smaller notch is a totally non-functional cosmetic change. I'm not too bothered by this notch, and I think it actually adds a bit of character to these iPhones. But when I look at competing phones with notchless and almost bezel-less displays, I can't help but get jealous of not having it on my iPhone, which I'm sure is the case with many iPhone users. After having used ProMotion for 6 months, personally, I feel it gets more hype than it deserves. On any other phone, when you go from 60 to 120Hz, you instantly notice a difference in speed. But on this iPhone 13 Pro, not so much. Don't get me wrong, 120Hz feels extremely smooth on this phone. Actually, even smoother than the 120Hz refresh rate on most of the Android phones, as there are no frame drops on this iPhone 13 Pro. I'm sure a lot of people won't even understand what 120Hz refresh rate is, even if you tried explaining it to them, but even they will notice that the animations are fluid and there is no stutter and everything feels a bit faster. But since animations on iPhones have always been extremely smooth even at 60Hz, and due to the fact that most non-tech savvy people are not necessarily looking for the difference, the jump to 120Hz doesn't feel as dramatic as most reviewers have you believe. If you don't care about the specs, chances are you might not even notice the smoother animations while using this phone. But if you switch to the iPhone 13 after using Pro for a couple of days, you will definitely feel 13's animations to be a bit choppy. If you guys don't know this yet, our mind is an amazing machine and it calibrates itself, so after the initial few minutes, the 60Hz display starts looking just as smooth. That being said, since the ProMotion display can drop the refresh rate down to 10Hz for static content, it is 25% more efficient compared to the displays on the iPhone 12 Pro, which in the end results in longer battery life on a single charge. I think ProMotion is a cool tech to have on your smartphone. But unless you're planning to play high refresh rate games all the time, don't base your decision entirely on the fact that this iPhone 13 Pro gets a 120Hz ProMotion display. Other than that, this is a gorgeous display. Colors look amazing, viewing angles are excellent, it can get really bright outside and very dim when you turn off the lights at night. HDR content just looks excellent on this screen. I haven't used the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra as my main phone, but I did check it out in Samsung stores, and I think that is the only display which beats the one on this iPhone 13 Pro. The dual stereo speakers on this phone perfectly complement the display. To put it simply, these are the best speakers that you will find on any modern day smartphone. They are perfectly balanced, sound extremely crisp, have just the right amount of bass to give you a rich listening experience, and no matter how loud you have them, they won't crack or sound tinny. Face ID is still the only biometric method to unlock this phone, which was a pain to use until a few weeks back if you had a mask on. But with iOS 15.4 update, Face ID finally works even if you have your mask on. It is not as secure, so you will still have to look directly towards the phone for it to work. It is also slightly slower and asks you to scan your face with your glasses on so it can recognize you better and faster. I still think Apple should have given us a fingerprint sensor under the power button, as it would have made it much more faster, secure and convenient. It's the latest iPhone, that too one of the two top-of-the-line Pro iPhones, so do we still need to talk about its performance? All you need to know is everything just flies on this phone. A15 Bionic brings improvements over previous A series chips, but unless you're coming from an iPhone XR or an older iPhone, you won't notice the speed boost all that much. That is how well Apple optimizes the previous iPhones. These phones have a lot of headroom, so they keep on delivering excellent performance for 3 or 4 years at least without any signs of slowing down. Pro iPhones also get more RAM compared to the regular iPhone 13, and that means memory or RAM management on this phone is excellent. It keeps a lot of apps open in the background and for a longer time. There are however two things which I noticed in the last month or so. I was attending my cousin's wedding and I took over 1000 images and videos during the course of 8 days. During that time, I noticed that the phone was getting too hot and the display dimmed down considerably until the phone was cooled down. To be fair, the temperatures where I have been were hovering around 42 to 43 degrees Celsius, which was really hot, and I had been using the camera for a long time with the brightness turned to maximum. So this was definitely one of the reasons for the phone to get hot. But even when the phone was so hot, the camera app did not stop working or the video resolution and frame rate were not limited. After a couple of days, I did find a fix for this. When I turned on the low power mode, this phone did not overheat at all, even when I was using the camera app in direct sun for a long time. The battery life on this phone has been so good that I don't even have to worry about charging it during the day once I take it off the charger at 7 or 8 am in the morning. And when I connect it to the charger at night, I normally have 35 to 40% of the charge still remaining. This is something which I never experienced on a non-Max iPhone before this. So I think the battery life is my second most favorite feature on this phone. If you are not a heavy user, a single charge might even take you through 2 full days. Along with the battery life, the battery health has also held up pretty well. I think this is the first time I am seeing the maximum capacity to be 100% even after 6 months. Last year my iPhone 12 Pro dropped to 97% in just 4 months. When it is time to juice it up, it can charge up to 50% in 30 minutes with a 20-watt charger, and the speed gets a bit faster if you use a 30-watt adapter. This is not nearly as fast as the charging speeds on its Android counterparts, but I feel this speed strikes a healthy balance between the charging speed and longevity of the battery. Slightly slower charging speed is always better if you leave your phone connected to a charger overnight like I do. But yes, I still wish Apple adds 45 or 65 watt fast charging capability for someone who has a very busy schedule and doesn't get more than 20 to 30 minutes to top up their phone. Having the ability to add 75 to 80% of the charge in 30 minutes would be really cool. Every reviewer I know has been complaining about the fact that this port is not USB-C. Yes, a USB-C port would have been very convenient for someone like me who travels with a lot of devices and would have to carry just one cable to charge all of them. But when I really think about it, I think most average users might not have as many devices with them as we reviewers do. So for them, it might not be as big of a hassle as many of us believe. For example, my sister carries an iPhone and AirPods Pro, and her Windows laptop, which has its own charging brick, doesn't even come with a USB Type-C port. So for her, having a USB Type-C port on her phone won't be any more convenient than the already existing Lightning port. She would still have to carry around multiple cables to charge her devices, and I'm sure there are many people like her. I have quite a few wireless chargers around my house, but for some reason I ended up not using them all that much in the last 6 months. The main reason for this is that this phone doesn't need small top-ups throughout the day. But if you plan on charging your phone wirelessly, you should know that this phone gets pretty warm while doing so. That brings us to my most favorite feature of this iPhone 13 Pro, its cameras. I feel these are the 3 best lenses that you could ask for on any phone. I use the ultra-wide and telephoto lens half as much as I use the main camera, but when I switch to them, I'm really happy with the results. Sometimes I do wish that it had another camera with a 10x optical zoom lens like on some of the Android flagships. But I also know that other than using it handful of times when the phone is new, most people will even forget that it is there. I also wish that the 3x telephoto lens had a slightly wider aperture so I could use it more often in indoor or artificially lit situations, especially for zoomed in portraits. Although this phone just gets 3 cameras, since the wide camera has macro capabilities, it acts like a quad camera setup. When you give the macro shots ample light, just look at how incredible they turn out. These might not be the best cameras on any phone, but they are definitely the most consistent ones. When you click an image with this phone, you already know how it is going to turn out. And unless you have extremely shaky hands, you are not going to have to retake it. I love shooting videos with my phone. Since last year, I have included a lot of outdoor shots which were actually shot with the main camera on this phone, and no one complained about them. The cinematic mode in particular on this phone has been my favorite. Yes, it is locked at 1080p 30fps, but these videos look amazing if you turn the background blur down a bit. The edge detection is not perfect in this cinematic mode, but with a lower f-stop number, you can get away with a very good looking video. If you shoot a lot of videos with your phone, you will love the iPhone 13 Pro. I think it is time that Apple starts giving us more control over the photos that we take. I love Apple's computational photography algorithms, and they work really well in some situations. The photographic styles where you can dial in a particular look for your images is another welcome change. But I still think at least these Pro iPhones need a Pro camera mode where you can change all the individual settings according to your liking or the lighting conditions. I know there are third-party apps which allow us to do that, but switching camera apps is not something that I look forward to, and having this mode just a swipe away in the main camera app will take the iPhone photographs to a whole new level. So Apple, please give us the ability to change the focus, ISO, shutter speed and white balance at least on these Pro iPhones. That would make so many of us happy. Now if you take a lot of night shots, you are definitely going to run into the lens flare issue which has haunted every iPhone ever since the iPhone 11 series. You will see these globes of flares in random places in your shot if you have the light source directly in the frame. I don't know why, but Apple hasn't been able to fix it in the last 3 years. So if you click your images in lower light, just try to look for these flares before you click the shot and maybe change your angle slightly till these flares are either gone or they align with the particular light source. Right now, this is the only workaround until Apple finds a permanent fix for this. I'm not someone who takes a lot of selfies, but just like with the previous iPhones, I still think front-facing camera on this iPhone is not very good. It doesn't take the most detailed or the best looking selfies. It is just one of those cameras which gets the job done. Now here are some of the things which I think the next iPhone should come with. A USB-C port, not just for the charging speed, because I'm pretty happy with the charging speed that I get with a 30-watt MacBook Air charger. I want USB-C port for faster data transfer speeds when I offload the images and videos from this phone to my computer. Touch ID under the power button, since Face ID with mask on still isn't all that accurate and it still doesn't work from certain angles. I'm also sure that Touch ID will be much secure and faster. I also want it to have a matte frame so it doesn't gather as many fingerprints and smudges, and a matte glass around the camera module. I also want it to have a Pro mode in the camera app and always on display to quickly check the notifications at a glance. While on paper, iPhone 13 Pro might not look that big of an upgrade over the iPhone 12 Pro, but it does get bigger screen, smaller notch, better cameras, better battery and better performance. So although it may still largely look the same as the iPhone 12 Pro from outside, it is in fact better in every department, which really counts. So as I said before, according to me, this is the best iPhone that Apple has ever made. And other than the slight extra weight, I have enjoyed every moment that I have spent with this phone. Now the final question, should you buy this phone? If you need the absolute best that Apple has to offer in a manageable form factor, and if you have a bunch of cash lying around, then the answer is very simple and straightforward for you. Yes, just go and buy it. But I am guessing most people watching this video might not have that kind of cash lying around, or maybe they are thinking about this purchase decision. In that situation, think about this. Why do you want to buy this phone, and what does it offer over the regular iPhone 13? If you need the most premium iPhone, or if you take a lot of shots with the telephoto lens, or if 120Hz refresh rate is the absolute must for you, or if you are a content creator and you plan on creating most of your content on this iPhone, then go for it. In the latter case, just make sure to go for 256GB or higher storage variant. But if even 2 out of these 4 things don't excite you all that much, and your primary usage would be making a few calls, answering emails, using social media and media consumption, then I think you might want to consider going with the regular iPhone 13. That phone offers you 85 to 90% of what this phone does at 2/3 the price, which makes it the most value for money iPhone out of the entire 13 series. If you want to know all the similarities and differences between the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro, you can check out my detailed comparison between them. I will leave a card to that video on the top right corner of your screen and also link it in the description section. So again, as good as the iPhone 13 Pro is, unless you really want the 3x telephoto lens, 120Hz refresh rate display or a premium build quality, I will not ask you to spend your hard-earned cash on it. It is still the best iPhone that Apple has made though. So those are my thoughts about this iPhone 13 Pro after having it for over 6 months. If you guys are in the market for an ultra premium phone, would you consider getting this? Let me know in the comments. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.